Are you hoping to study in Australia, but every time you try to calculate your proof of funds or like how much you need to have in your bank account, you get confused or lost, or you get you're not sure what you're doing. You have no idea how much exactly do I need to have in my bank account? How much do I need to show for proof of funds? Or how much does my sponsor or my parents or my partner need to have in their bank account to be able to sponsor my education here in Australia? Guys, I bring you good news today. I'll be breaking it down. So definitely don't go anywhere and keep on watching, okay? Guys, if you're just joining us, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Lola and you are definitely most welcome. Today we'll be talking about how to show proof of funds for your study dreams, or for you to be able to get your student visa approved, okay? A disclaimer before I continue. I, Lola, I'm not a migration agent. I'm just someone that researches and brings information to you people. So definitely do your research. Google is your best friend, as I always say. Do your research and find out more, because sometimes this video I film, if I drop the video today, you might not see it for the next couple of months. So the information might not be as fresh as you think. So definitely check around, okay? Now we're ready to get into the video. Let's get right into today's video. I heard that, to be able to study in Australia, you need to have 62,222 in your bank account, or 72,592, and it got you confused, and you took a moment, you paused for a moment, and you're like, huh? What are you guys talking about? I'll be breaking that down today, as I said, okay? So to show proof of funds, I will be breaking this video into two. There'll be two sections, in the sense that there'll be the part for if you're a single applicant, like you are by yourself, maybe you're not married, or you're coming in as a single applicant first, or as a family, how will I call it? Family, where you're bringing your spouse and your kids with you. If that's the case, I'll be going into those two parts and how much you actually need to have in your bank account. I'll be breaking it down. I feel like this will be the most detailed video you would watch about this, so definitely don't go anywhere and keep on watching, okay? So before I continue and talk about, this is how much a single applicant needs, or this is how much a family needs if they're trying to come into Australia, guys, I'll be looking down a lot because I have my notes here and I'm going to be referring to them so I can give you correct information, okay? So pardon me. So as I was saying, before I get into how much a single applicant needs, or a family, how much you guys need if you're coming into Australia, yeah, I'll talk about the different ways, because this video is about showing proof of funds, the different ways you can show financial capacity, to show that, okay, in the my first year of arriving in Australia, I'm more than capable of taking care of my expenses, my rent, my feeding, my school fees, and everything in between like that. So there are different ways the Australian immigration has allowed people to show their financial capacity. There are a few of them, actually. Some of them I saw and I actually didn't know about them, which I think will be good for everyone. So the first will be personal deposits into your bank account, yeah, from a financial institution. So from your bank, to show like, okay, I have so amount of money in my bank account, right? Then there's family sponsorship. There's family sponsorship where it's like your uncle or your auntie or your sister or your, yes, I've been specific about not mentioning your parents or your spouse because the amount is different. And then there is loan from a financial institution. Actually, you guys, you can actually get loan. So let's say you go to a microfinance bank, you can get loan. The government has approved, the immigration has said, okay, you're allowed to actually get loan to come and study here, as long as it's legit, from a legit organization or institution. You can get scholarship. If you're on scholarship, you just need to show the details. Okay, I've been sponsored by this organization and I'm coming in to study. Yes. Now going back to what I said, you're wondering if your parents or your spouse can sponsor you. Of course they can, but a different rule applies to how much they need to have in their bank account, and that is the amount I kind of mentioned at the beginning. So if your parents, now I'm going to go into single applicants. Now we're going into the video proper. For single applicants, if your parents are going to sponsor you, they need to show evidence of 62,222. Wow. Guys, yes, it is a lot. We're not even going to lie to ourselves here. All the amount I'll be saying here is in Australian dollars, by the way, not in US dollars. So your parents or your spouse, if they are going to sponsor you as a single applicant, they need to have nothing less than $62,222 in their bank account. Yes, you heard me right. It is a lot. Let's not even lie, it is a lot. But the thing is, let's say both of your parents are working. They have agreed that you can actually show proof of evidence with your two parents. So maybe one person has 40K in their bank account, the other person has 20K in their bank account. That is acceptable. They are allowing that. But there's a clause here. They don't want them to show you their bank statement or anything. No, they want a government approved. Let me look for the word. What's it? They want an official government document which would come in the form of tax assessment. Yes, that is what they asked. If your parents or your spouse, they're sponsoring you as a single applicant, they need to show that they have that amount, 62,222 in their bank account, but it needs to be shown as a bank tax assessment. So tax assessment, not bank statement, not proof of payment from their work. Okay, so that is how much you need if your parents are sponsoring. Let's move on. If you are sponsoring yourself, or maybe if like your uncle is sponsoring you now, or your auntie is sponsoring you, then it is a totally different ball game. So I'm going to break it down. The amount the immigration says you should have in your bank account if you're sponsoring yourself is 21,041 Australian dollars. So you need to have 21,041 Australian dollars. Guys, that's not whole. That's the first one. You need to have your tuition fees for the first 12 months. So this now might be a little confusing. I think people get confused here. So let's say your tuition fee is 30,000 for 2 years, right? This is just an example. Let's say your school fees is 30,000 for 2 years, and that means for 1 year, 12 months. For 12 months, it will be 15,000, right? And once you get your COE, your confirmation of enrollment, they're probably going to ask you to pay a deposit of your school fees. So let's say you've paid 5,000 as your deposit of your study, right? So you need to pay 10,000. So the Australian government, the Australian immigration has allowed you, they've agreed that you only need to show the remaining of your school fees, if that makes sense. So let's say it's supposed to be 15,000, but you've already paid 5,000. It's remaining 10,000. So you had $10,000 to the 21,041 that hold on guys, you had 10,000 to the $21,041 that you've paid, that you need to have for living expenses for 1 year. And then after that, there's still more. Then you need to get your travel expenses. Your travel expenses, they have different prices for different places. I'll go through everything because I know it's not only people from West Africa that watch my channel, right? So if you are from West Africa, you need to have 3,000 as your travel expenses as a single person. If you're from West Africa, you need to have 3,000 as your travel cost as a single person. If you are from East Africa or Southern Africa, you need to have $2,500. If you are from anywhere else outside of Australia, you need to have 2,000. You need to budget 2,000 for your travel expenses. That's for your flight. So for the purpose of this video, we'll stick with, let's say, 3,000 if you're coming from Nigeria or Ghana or Togo or some of the countries in West Africa, right? So you need to have 3,000. So now let's see how much we have left, how much it is in total for you to pay. So in total, we have $21,041, 10,000 as balance of your school fees, and then another 3,000 as your travel cost, travel expenses. Yeah, so in total, if you're sponsoring yourself, you need to have a total of 34,041 Australian dollars in your bank account. 34,041 Australian dollars in your bank account. It's still a lot, But if you compare it to the 62,222, that is a huge gap, right? So if you're sponsoring yourself, or if it's your uncle that is sponsoring any other person other than your spouse or your parents, they need to have like 34,041. This is just a rough figure of, let's assume your school fees is 15,000, but you've paid 5,000 and then you have 10,000 left. Okay, so you have to do that calculation. Of course, I'll leave the link to the official government Home Affairs website where you can find all of this information, so don't worry about that. So that is how much you need to come with. That's how much you need to have. Okay, that's how much you need to have in your bank account. So and I would say the immigration, they do not like it if, okay, I'll actually leave this to the end of the video, so keep on watching. I'm gonna drop some gems at the end of this video. Keep on watching, okay? If we've gotten here, if you're at this point and you've not subscribed to my YouTube channel, what are you doing? I'm giving you the tea, okay? So click on that subscribe button, like and share, comment also. I love to really hear from you guys, okay? Moving on to if you are a family. So let's, for the purpose of this video, I'm going to say you, the main applicant, you're a family. What am I saying? You, the main applicant, you are the one that wants to come and study. So let's say the father is the one coming to study and he's planning to bring his spouse, his wife, and they have one child, right? So that means there are 3 of you, okay? So the primary applicant for your living expenses here, you need to have the same 21,041 Australian dollars. That doesn't change. Then for your partner or your spouse, you need to budget 7,362. They are very specific with the figures. They need to have 7,362 in their bank account. Like you need to have that in your bank account to show financial capacity for your spouse. So let's say one person is a primary applicant. You need to have 21,041. The partner or the spouse needs to have needs a budget of 7,362. And if you have one child, you need to budget 3,152 Australian dollars for the child. That's per child. So let's say you have 2 children, you multiply that by the number of children you have, okay? And then your tuition fees for 12 months again. So we are going to assume it's the same 15,000 for 1 year. You've paid 5,000, you are left with 10,000, okay? So also they want to make sure you have enough money if your children are of the age where they need to start going to school. So they are above they are that age where they are going to school now. You need to have a budget for their tuition fees also. So it's not only you that is going to school, your child needs to go to school too. So for the child, they've put that you need a minimum budget of 8,296 per child. So let's say you have 2 children, so that's 8,296 for each of them. Guys, I know there's a lot of math and calculation in this video, but don't worry, I'll also leave a link of the price calculator. Like there's a link for how you can calculate how much you think you need as a student, yeah. So, and then travel cost also per person. Coming as a family can be a bit expensive, so travel cost per person, sorry for the noise guys. So travel cost per person, as I said, if you're coming from West Africa, is 3,000. So for per person, I said like there are 3 of you, wife, husband and child. That's 9,000 for all of you together. 3,000, you need to calculate 3,000 for each of you, right? And in total, you need to show 50,555 in your bank account, or any of the other methods I've shown, bank account, loan, scholarship or whatever. If it's scholarship, I think there needs to be a letter that states that they are going to sponsor you and maybe pay for your child's own. So if they're not paying for your child, you need to look for that money yourself, if that makes any sense, okay? So if it's a family of 3 coming, you need a total of 50,555 Australian dollars. Yes, I know it's quite a bit. And then now moving on to, if it is your uncle or your auntie that wants to sponsor you also, or maybe your sibling, they need to have that amount in their bank account also, or any other method they're going to use to show proof of funds or financial capacity. So 50,555. So now let's move on. I mentioned that ridiculously high amount of money I mentioned at the beginning, which was just a minute, which was 72,592. So let's say you're coming as a family and one of your parents are sponsoring you. Let's say the parents of the husband or the parents of the bride are the ones sponsoring you, or if it is your spouse that is sponsoring you, right? They need to have 72,592 as it needs to show how much, that is how much they need to be making the year prior to when you want to study. So let's say you're coming to study this year. The tax assessment that I mentioned that the parents or the spouse needs to have evidence of, it needs to not be more than 12 months old. So it needs to be very fresh. In the last 1 year, they want to see this is how much your spouse or your parents are making. So that is how much you need to show if it is your parents or your spouse that's sponsoring you. Okay, that's 72,592. So that is a lot. It is a lot. It is a lot. But yeah, that is how much they've said you need to show if it's your spouse, or if it is your spouse or your parents that's sponsoring you. Okay, and what else? If it is your, now that is all the calculations we are majorly doing in this video. So if it is your uncle or your auntie or your parents that are sponsoring you, you need to provide evidence that you guys are related one way or the other. So probably with your documents, passport and stuffs, and also like you have to get like a sworn affidavit from the High Court or a law body in your country to show that, okay, this person is related to me. And probably you need a sponsorship letter also. I believe you need a sponsorship letter from them. Okay, and then now moving on to the other things I was going to say. One thing I would say is, if you are sponsoring yourself, don't say, I want to apply for student visa next week, and then you just go and dump all of that money. The how much was that? 34,041 estimate that we made. Don't go and just dump that 34,000 inside your bank account like a week before you have to travel. They do not like, what I was going to say is, the immigration, they do not like when you just dump a cluster of money in your bank account just before you apply. So they want to see that money, let's say you plan on traveling in the next 6 months, they want to see that money has stayed in your account for at least 3 months, 90 days, last I checked. So they do not, I feel like it's an unwritten rule. It's not like it's anywhere, but you kind of just know. They don't want you to just dump that money there. So you might be asking, what if I have this money in 2 different bank accounts or 3 different bank accounts? They actually prefer it if you leave it broken down like that. So don't go and carry out the 34,000. If you are able to show that, okay, I have it in Stanbic Bank or GTB or which other bank is there in Nigeria? Keystone. These are just examples of banks I know from Nigeria, right? There's no shade or anything. So let's say you have it in 2 different banks. They are actually okay with you showing your bank statement from those 2 different banks and attaching it to your application, rather than dumping all of the money into one bank account. If the money has been there, like they've been seeing like a regular deposit of, when you get your salary and stuffs, or the transactions you make, they are fine with that. You don't have to dump everything into one bank account. So they are very okay with you having the money in 2 different accounts. You just need to attach your statements for the last 3 months, okay, the last 3 months prior to your application of your student visa. So they like things kind of fresh. Yeah, so another thing I would say is, I know places like Canada and some of the European countries, they actually delegate a bank account. They want you to actually pay that money into. For Australia, no. There's nothing like they're going to take your money from you. I know for Canada, you put that money there, and then when you get to Canada, every month they will give you that money until it runs out for like a full year or so. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section if you know much about Canada, but I think that's how it's done. But for us here in Australia, you don't need to have all of that money in your bank. You don't need to pay that money into a government designated government account. You just need to show it in your bank statement, your loan or whatever. So if you're getting loan, they need to see a receipt that, oh, this bank is borrowing me money, they're lending me money for my education. They just want to see that kind of proof and how much they're borrowing you. So that is it for this video. I've tried not to make it long, but it looks like it's still long. That is all. Let me know in the comment section if I missed anything or you have more questions. I'm just going to put it out here. I know I get a lot of DMs. Not too much. When I say not too much, it's like between 10 to 15 people I need to answer, and it's not just one short answer. People are asking questions about this, and I like to like settle down and take my time to answer you guys. So I apologize if it takes me a bit of time to get to your questions in my DM, and I know someone will be like, you're updating your story, but when it's that much I get overwhelmed. Sorry guys, so I'm going to try and do better and reply your questions as soon as possible. You can send me an email also. I'll leave my email here, I'll leave my Instagram handle here. Okay, so that would be all for this video. If you have enjoyed this video, thank you so much for tuning in. Do not forget to subscribe, like, share, comment, share this with someone you think might find it useful, because I know someone is like, how much do I need to have, how much exactly are they after from me? So definitely share this video with someone. I have broken it down as much as I can, and if you're still confused or you have questions, leave them for me in the comment section. I am more than happy to answer your questions. And thank you all so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it all. God bless you. Stay safe, and until I come your way next time, I will be seeing you all in my next video. Okay, bye guys. Mwah, 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 mwah. Bye.